Oh man, what an unexpected treat for the day. All right, gotta remember how to do this. These turn signals are different. What is going on, my friends? I don't know if you recognize it, but this is not Mew. This is not my 2020 Standard Range Model 3. And pardon me for a moment while I get out of here. Okay, as you might have guessed, we are currently in the 2024 new Highland Long Range Model 3, or just Model 3. I don't really think the Highland name really matters as much anymore because these things are here and they are gorgeous. Now, one thing that I can tell you right off the bat, unfortunately, I have a few notes here because there's a lot of good that's come with this car, but the turn signals on here, they are no longer haptic. These are actual buttons, which feel so good. And speaking of feel, this steering wheel, it does not, you have to experience, you have to drive it to really understand the difference, but it is so well contoured. This feels like a premium sport wheel, something that you would have in a car on a track for sure. Bit of a flatter base, which feels really nice, especially for me. I mean, you guys know I do Uber and Lyft. I get a lot of FSD content, so I am always on the road driving a lot, and ergonomics is really a big part of it. You don't want to get sore or your wrists to feel weird after had them kind of tilted, trying to find that spot to cruise. And so far, everywhere I'm sitting, from my right arm on the armrest to my left arm sitting here on the wheel, it feels great. And I'm gonna try to keep my head on straight here. There's a lot of good new stuff going on with this car, and I kind of chose a route that puts me around some construction. So we're just gonna kind of cruise through La Jolla, and I'm gonna talk to you guys about the brand new 2024 Model 3. On that subject, the reason I'm even doing this is, you know, I am in line for Cybertruck. You know, I'm expected to take delivery by the end of the year or the beginning of next year, but I'm gonna be real with y'all. $80,000 for the dual motor is a lot of money, and I do not have that sort of funds. But my Model 3 is 4 years old, and man, has Mew put in some work. A lot of you have been following me for a while. You know how much I've driven that car. I've got over 150,000 miles on it since 2020. And this, for me, is very contingent on the new performance Model 3 qualifying for the tax credit to, you know, really decide whether or not I make the jump into the performance. But I might still, even if that isn't a possibility, jump into the dual motor long range. I admittedly want the performance for myself because I'm a car guy through and through. I want fun and fast, and with the tax credit, it is not much more expensive than my original Standard Range Plus was. So to me, it's just a no-brainer. Not only am I thinking about FSD and the fact that these vehicles are now confirmed on Hardware 4, I'm also thinking about new warranties, coverages, kind of getting that fresh start, and taking advantage of all the new tech and the new design of the Model 3. And, you know, I've been critical of the exterior design, which I'll admit, hands down in person, this thing looks beautiful. I still really love the original front end design of the Model 3 and still the Model Y. However, this does not look bad at all. The rear is gorgeous and the front looks aggressive. The pictures honestly don't really do it justice. We'll keep that in. Seeing it in person has definitely allowed me to come around, but it's not even like the exterior is just such a small part of the equation here. If you get a chance to look around, and I'll try to overlay some other footage of the different materials, you know, no more wood here on the dash and wrapping around the door, which I really did not like that design in the you know, 22s and 3 Model 3s and such. This is so clean going around the entire car. The accented lighting, the fabric on the dash, the Alcantara in the doors, which it is important to note that the Alcantara material and this fabric on the dashboard, this is part of the dual motor long range, and I would presume the performance as well. However, for the standard, you are going to get a more basic fabric on the inside of the doors and on the dash. I've not seen that, but I wanted to make sure that you didn't expect the same exact thing for both cars. Now, fortunately, I've taken some notes here because there's a lot going on in this car. It's not, again, just an exterior refresh. This is essentially what I would classify as a full redesign from the inside out. So when it comes to your actual door sills, getting in and out of the car, I know a lot of you can probably relate to the amount of scuffing from your shoes getting in and out and the damage that'll cause along the door sills. And those have been improved with a material that's scuff resistant. Same in the trunk. So a lot of the scratching and annoying little scuff marks that you would get on the inner door sills where your feet are constantly hitting as you're getting in and out, that's been improved greatly. On top of that, there's a different material here in the door pockets that I'll make sure I try to get some footage of once I park so you guys can see. And this material will allow for more sound dampening, which reduce, the metal clinging of coins, keys, whatever you have in your door sills. The door sills on our Model Y are packed to the nines, because that's just how my wife is. Mine stay relatively empty, but it's nice. They've taken so much care to the driving feel. I don't know if you've noticed, I haven't adjusted the audio for this drive. I usually do to account for road noise and external problems. This is insanely quiet. You hear any wind? Any rushing? That's about 50 miles an hour, really quick, because of course the dual motor, the long range vehicle, is very quick. And man, I cannot, I'll do a little maybe back and forth comparison or side by side of what it sounds like in my car with no edited audio to clean things up and what it sounds in here, making sure my cameras are recording. All right, here is a sound comparison. Now we are back in my car. We're not gonna edit the audio. Got some bumps here, so you can see the difference in how it sounded in the new long-range Model 3, codename Highland, as compared to this. We'll give it a little bit more of an umph here once we get past this guy. But as we're driving, I'm noticing what feels like a thinner shell between me and the world around me. Of course, we're going into rush hour now. I had too much fun in the Highland, but I will say that the ride experience is so much different. This feels looser, more rattly. Granted, I have 150,000+ miles on this car, 154,000, 247,000 kilometers. But night and day feel as far as build quality and internal structure. Now you can also see the inside of my car and the way it's different with how it's wrapped around. I do prefer this over the in-between design that had what was the original wood paneling wrapping into the door. I love the new redesign where the fabric is, how the dashboard looks, and how the doors fit, and how it all just kind of follows this original line that you can sort of see, maybe, if you're following around the edge of the front speaker or soundboard, and as the door comes back down, this original design line is now where the accented lighting is, and where sort of the lifted trim is, and it's just exquisite. Man, I love my car. I love the original Model 3. It is amazing, and so many people have experienced this incredible vehicle. But God, I am so blown away by the new Model 3. I can't wait. I gotta make that happen. All right, here we're going a little bit faster on the highway to try to paint a picture for sort of the road noise out of the original Model 3. It isn't horrible. I mean, I don't want it to make it sound like it's crazy bad or anything. I've noticed over time my window can seem a little bit more noisy, and other times it's not. Sometimes if I just give it a little touch down or up on the window switch, I'll find, like I just did, I found like the perfect spot to make it as quiet as possible. But if I bring it all the way truly up, there is some wind noise right by my left ear, which isn't bad. But now as we're getting up to about 115K or about 72 miles an hour, you can likely hear a little bit more of the road rumble and the reverberations compared to the audio quality inside the Highland. And forgive me if, saying Highland might not be the proper term now. It's just the new Model 3. It is the refreshed, updated, next level Model 3 in every way. I mean, I really can't push that point home enough. Anyway, back to the Highland video. Like, this feels so good, so refined. Was part of my point too in talking to my friends. Cybertruck, I'm excited for that thing. It is awesome. I wish I had the money to have that right now. But it's going to go through its teething phases and getting into production and, the quirks that come with a new car. This version of the Model 3 is so refined and fleshed out that I don't know how much closer you can get to perfection. That might sound a little biased to some, but I don't care. This is my first experience driving the new Model 3, and I can't get over how solid it feels. Even getting in and out of the car, you know, the doors, they feel good. There's this special sort of grab design on the base of the door that I'll try to make sure I get a footage of, that just seats in perfectly underneath the door sill too, adding for structural rigidity, which I would imagine the more perfect the seal, the less vibrations, the less sounds, the less noise that get into the car. And even like external noise, like this massive truck that just went by, I'm not hearing its air brakes, its big tires, anything. It's freaking nuts. What we'll do is we'll hop on the 5 heading north here for a little bit and turn back around. I don't have forever with the car. They're very gracious with their time, and I'm really appreciative of that, allowing me to really get the full experience of this car. And I want to make sure I go through and show you guys everything that's going on. While I'm thinking about it now, we do have Smart Shift, where, well, okay, I want to be careful with saying Smart Shift. I'd imagine it does have that, because that's when, you know, you're parked, say, with the wall in front of you. When you hit the brake, the car knows to go in reverse. The new S and X had those features, which was awesome. And with this, you know, there's no stocks. This is clean and empty. So we do have all of the same kind of button controls as the new S and X. And we do have some basic autopilot function on this car. Once we get on the highway, I will turn that on. And again, these turn signal buttons are actually clickable buttons now. And do we have auto lane change cancel? We do. Oh, that's awesome. And admittedly, the turn signals would take a little getting adjusted to, because, you know, when you're in a full turn, it can be a little harder to hit that button. I've been driving with a Yoke forever, which, you know, spoiler alert, if I get the Performance or the Long Range Model 3, I won't be adjusting. I'm reaching for the stocks. Oh, that's funny. I have to get used to that. It's a button. I won't be changing to a Yoke. This feels so good that this is what I'm going to stay at, especially with all the electronics built into this. And let's make sure we do this right. We are clear. We're going to punch it a little bit. See. Good God, that feels amazing. Got to about 70 miles an hour really fast. And it is so quiet, and it feels incredible. Man, I knew I probably shouldn't have done this, because this is going to have me just totally sold. My fingers are still reaching for the stocks to change lanes and such. That'll admittedly be the hardest thing to get used to, I think. Actually, in fact, we're going to get off so we can go back south and not get too far away. I don't want to put too many miles on this beautiful car. Top of that, let's go ahead and get these mirrors adjusted a little bit more now that I'm on the road and I can kind of see where they're angled. Right side's good, left side's good. Button response is amazing. The steering wheel, the scroll wheels, they all feel really good. Once we get back on the highway, let me remember to actually activate some autopilot here. All right, so bottom for left. You know, it'll take a little getting adjusted to, or getting used to, but I will pretty well. Regen feels great, of course. Tesla's regen's always been amazing. I mean, I really couldn't imagine anybody complaining about that. The idea of having the dual motor long range vehicle, oh man, that's 340 miles, I'd say, on the all season tires. Even if I get the Performance, I'll probably still put the Aero tires on it for efficiency. Maybe later buy a track set with some really good tires if I really want to have fun. But my goodness, yeah, this guy's not supposed to turn right there. This is an FSD video, we'd be making fun of everybody right now. Getting back to the features of the car though, I want to make sure I don't miss any of this awesomeness. I don't know if you guys can see this, but just behind the cameras up here, we have a speaker, a roof speaker. So the internal sound system has been revamped, and I know a lot of you have probably heard how amazing the sound system is inside of the Cybertruck. Well, I guess, why talk about it? Let me go ahead and get myself Bluetoothed here. All right. Let's see how this sounds. Let's check out this sound system here. Okay, I totally realized after the fact that I can't really play the music for you that I wanted to test out the system for copyright reasons, but I can say it sounds great. You're gonna have to go and drive one yourself to know what I mean. It sounds really clear, and I didn't even mess with the actual sound modifiers. And we are cruising in autopilot now. I do like, and I look forward to being able to just press the right scroll wheel down, which is awesome to start and stop autopilot. It's really simple, and I appreciate that a lot. We're gonna take the next exit to get off the highway here, but I wanted to see what autopilot felt like, at least activating it and deactivating it specifically, which does feel great. And I don't know, same scroll wheel function with speed and such, so that's great. That's largely the same, but except for, you know, how you start it, because we don't have stocks. I really like that a lot. Now, of course, the steering wheel is heated. What's really cool, front seats are both cooled and heated. The rear is just heated. However, due to the perforation in the seats, it allows for a lot more breathability. So the vegan leather had a bad time of like really just absorbing heat. This system, the way these seats are designed, does a better job of dissipating a lot of heat when you're trying to be a little bit cooler. And of course, the heating function is always great, especially if you're in colder climates. Even though we're in San Diego, I love the heated steering wheel idea, and the cooled seats would be amazing, especially on a hot day, after the beach, after the gym, whatever the case. And having cooled seats in a Model 3 is a first, as far as I know. That's always been a Plaid or a Model S or X thing, and that's an incredibly exciting new feature to be added into this car. On top of the added cooling feature, the heating and such, it's been redesigned so it activates faster. I don't know the ins and outs, but whatever Tesla's done, they have increased the efficiency of the heating system for the seats, likely the steering wheel too, just in probably better routing. I don't know if, I'd imagine it's resistive heating, when it comes to the steering wheel and seats, but that's just my speculation. Don't take my word for it. Whatever happens though, it does activate faster. On top of that, the design of the vehicle as a whole, the build of the vehicle, when it comes to all the panels and such, they are tighter. It's a more precise fitment around the vehicle. So I would imagine that anyone getting these long range and standard range models will see that reflected in their build quality. And I will definitely overlay footage of the Model 3 exterior so you guys can see that too. Now, when it comes to lighting, because as you know, with this Model 3, there's a redesign to the taillights and the headlights. The rear taillights now are all one single piece, and the reflectors actually have built-in lighting for when going into reverse. On the headlights, we have integrated fog lights, which is a different design than the original Model 3. Man, the handling feels amazing. You know, the Performance 3 is a little bit faster, but God, the dual motor feels so good when you're just used to a standard Model 3. I mean, this thing would blow the doors off my car, our Model Y, and it's so quiet. I can't get over how good this thing feels and how quiet it is on the inside. But all in all, given what I've been told and what I've seen and felt with this thing, I can say it is a redesign that is a lot more thorough and, you know, ground up than what we might have thought, with just the exterior looking a little different and some of the changes to the interior. I didn't even get to the fact that there's a rear screen now and the implications that might have for what I do in the Uber and Lyft space and the rideshare space with customers, having that rear screen. I always thought that would be really cool, you know, having like the Model S or X and being able to entertain customers with that rear screen, which is definitely a possibility here. Now, another real big reason that I, of course, want this car, I might have already mentioned a little bit, is that this does, in fact, have hardware for the autopilot, for the FSD system. And I absolutely would be hoping to get rather quickly FSD beta back on my newer 3 once it comes out. I really do want the performance. I'm not doing this immediately, but it was sort of a spur-of-the-moment thing to come check out this car, and I highly recommend everybody to check out the new Model 3 here in San Diego. It is here at the UTC Mall. The team is amazing there, super accommodating. Can't recommend enough to go to wherever you live. If the Model 3 is there, you've got to experience it. It's a lot more than just a new look on the outside. It is a completely refreshed car in and out, and I can't get over the build quality. I worked for Tesla for a little while here and there as a temp, and I've driven all the new years of the Model 3s and Ys that have come out. I've seen some of the little things here and there, the refresh to the interior with, you know, the first time we had the sliding doors and such. I still have the original flip up and flip down, and I really liked that. You know, a lot of the cool little things I missed by a couple of months from when I took delivery of my car versus the new ones that had come out, some of the new refresh stuff that was starting to surface. And yeah, it was a little bit of a bummer, a little bit of FOMO, but nothing big enough to make me really feel down about the car I had. Now, after having experienced the new Model 3 inside and out, the sound quality, the interior design structure, which from an aesthetic is just gorgeous. I love the way they've redesigned the doors and the way the trim sill flows around the entire car with that accented lighting that you can change the color of. There is a colorizer that you can shift and personalize, and that is awesome. I don't know, I know that the fabric is different in the base Model 3, so temper your expectations on the lighting. It might be available, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but in the long range, it obviously is, and it's great. It looks so good. And it just adds to the overall, it adds to the overall ambiance of the car and how it feels. And man, I could absolutely get used to driving this around, picking people up, showing them the car. And again, it is beautiful from the outside too, especially the rear. The Model 3 has got a nice booty. I mean, it does. It looks great. The new taillight redesign is amazing, and the front is growing on me. I don't dislike it. I liked mine more. However, it will not take long to get used to this, and there's always little things you can do to spruce up your own car. Being a car guy, I definitely plan, you know, to do what I can to this. I don't know if I'll really mess with the wheel or the display, because, you know, it's so nice that I'll probably just leave it stock. I definitely am not going to change out the wheel, because we actually have the electronic interfacing here, the controls on the wheel. It's a little different in mine, just having the scroll wheels, and changing to a yoke didn't really impede anything. And I love the way this feels, honestly. This does feel really great. The yoke is a lot of just, you know, styling change and preference versus having a full-blown wheel. And again, the contouring of this is much better. It's a little bit more pear-like, if you want to say. If you've seen a lot of racing steering wheel designs where you have a bit of a flatter base and it contours up, and it allows for a tighter feel, you know, a better control on the car when you're driving. And man, of course, these things, like you all know, they feel great. They're responsive, they're snappy. I'm still reaching for the ghost stocks that aren't there. Admittedly, will be the weirdest thing to get used to, and I know I've said it over and over, but so far, I'm utterly blown away by my first experience of driving this thing. I want it really bad. I'm not even gonna front. I really can't wait to see more on the Performance Model 3. And, you know, a shout out to my friend Ryan McCaffrey, the Ride the Lightning podcast. If you have not seen that or subscribed to it, you're missing out. Go check him out. But episode 444, he was talking about the Model 3, the redesign, the tax credit possibilities, and everything else. And right now, the pricing on these cars is really great. I think the last time it was as low as $37,900 or $38,000 for the standard range was when I got mine in 2020. So go check it out. You gotta check it out. And I'm just really happy with the overall experience, with showing the car, telling me all the features and all the things that are new and different about it. It's just been a great time. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing pulled back into the mall. I don't wanna go joyriding too long. Oh, of course I do. I wanna joyride in this thing all day. This is such a blast. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I will try to answer them. If there's anything I missed, I will try to include that in the description. I'm pretty sure I hit all the points that I was given on how this car is different. I really love just the interior redesign and everything. A lot of stuff that some of you have already experienced having the newer 3s before this redesign, but man, this just feels like a step up in every direction. A completely different car, but with a real feeling of nostalgia as you drive it, because it is a Model 3. It's just like the best iteration of the Model 3. The Model 3 had a glow up in a big way when it comes to this version of the car. And man, I can't wait to get mine. I'm gonna have to make it happen. Let me know what you guys thought of the video, and I really hope you enjoyed this. I'm really, really grateful for the experience. Oh man, I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care. Okay, a little bonus footage just in case it wasn't clear. Look at this internal lighting now that we're here in the parking garage. And it's in the back doors too, and it slinks down. Oh, let's see. Lights. As you shift it. Oh, real-time change. Talk about mood lighting. The white actually looks good too. Go blue, kind of go, you know, a little CYBRLFT blue there. Oh, this is gorgeous. All right, I gotta go back around and then park this thing. Oh man, I want to be respectful of the time that I was given with this car. But gosh, ugh. I hope you guys can hear the excitement in my voice and how much I'm looking forward to seeing these on the road and hearing everybody's impressions, you know, their first time driving them. It's just, God, it's so quiet. It's so refined. There's my car. Hi, Mew. Gonna get reincarnated in the beautiful stealth gray Performance Model 3, hopefully. I don't know, even if for whatever reason I can't get the performance, yeah, this dual motor is gonna have to happen. I didn't think I would trade up or change from a Tesla until I got the Cybertruck. But, you know, reality hits, pricings happen, and hey, this, I would not be upset one bit. All right, really, I'm leaving now. Catch y'all later. All right, some bonus footage. Might just use it for the overlay. One thing I forgot, the glove box. So there has been a change to this thing with the redesign of the vehicle. Now this pops out so much stronger now. Look at that. Soft open after it pops free, and it's thinner and lighter. And the coolest thing, this is magnetic. It just snaps in place. Good deep amount of space too, and of course there's our plug-in for Sentry mode footage and such, and it just solid magnetic snap. That's great. Now I can show you guys too. This is the slightly different material. Might be a little bit harder to see. That's my microfiber cloth there. But this is the sound dampening material to help for, you know, just keeping the door rattles to a minimum, especially if you got a bunch of stuff in the door sills themselves. And then, of course, a close-up of the fabric going across the dashboard here. Gorgeous. And it is different, again, in the standard. It's not going to be this Alcantara in the standard or the base model. Slightly different fabric choice. Same coloration for the rest, which I like. Oh, yes, another very important point that I don't want to forget. So this, of course, doesn't have the stalks. And there's always a question, too. If your screen goes black, what do you do? Because you can't go in a forward or a drive or reverse or anything. It's totally fine. Because built in here nice and stealthily is your Prindle. So you can do everything right here. Put it in drive, everything you need to do. If for whatever reason your screen locks up or you're doing a reset. So that's awesome. A good little fallback. And man, I gotta say, you know, the CYBRLFT setup looks good in here. I appreciate y'all for humoring me. And now we'll get a little bit more of what's going on. So here is the extra design for the door. When it closes, it seats in here perfectly, providing a lower sort of truss or strut to reduce vibration and improve the solid seal and noise reduction. And I'd imagine it's the same. Yes, we have it on all 4 doors, which is really great. Solid open and close, and of course you have the double paned glass, which definitely helps for that noise reduction in the vehicle. Now, the rest you guys have mostly seen when it comes to these vehicles. Make sure we don't have that in there. Beautiful single piece tail light, power struts, and all the storage space you can imagine that comes with these wonderful vehicles. I look forward to having a power trunk. That'll be awesome. Man, that just looks so good. I can't get enough of this car. And of course, when it comes to the door sills and the trunk and such, here is the material that reduces your scuffing and will just overall, you know, keep it nicer versus the plastics we had. Test drive vehicle, so, you know, a little vacuum need on the inside, but overall, this thing is just absolutely gorgeous. And here is the rear with this really nice display. Oh, and the haptics are great, directing where the airflow is going to be. And of course you have your USB-C connection points and just a ton of space. You can see the perforation in the seats. Again, heated, but this allows for a more breathable material, allowing it to not trap as much heat. And man, just look at that. It's so nice. I want it so bad. All right, I think that's it, guys. Gotta turn these keys back in and get this video made for y'all. But what a good time.